Hello, I'm Craig Barton and welcome to this Tips for Teachers video. Now, I've spoken in previous videos about how I'm a little bit obsessed with routines in the classroom. Here's a selection of routines here. Now, once these routines are established, it's brilliant because students can forget thinking about the routines and just crack straight on with thinking about the content of the lesson that's going to lead to greater learning and understanding. But there's a massive problem with routines, and that is they take flipping ages to establish. You've got to introduce the routine, justify the routine, practice the routine, refine the routine. And whilst all this is happening, students' attention is actually really focused on the routine itself and not on the learning. Now, I actually read about this in a book that's not directly related to education itself, and that's the New York Times best-selling Atomic Habits by James Clear, a really wonderful book. And in it, James talks about the phenomenon of the Valley of Latent Potential. Now, I've taken this image from Peps McRae, who kindly shared it on Twitter, and I think this is such an important thing for teachers to be aware of when it comes to establishing routines, but also students as well. So what the Valley of Latent Potential is all about is that whenever we think about establishing a routine in our classroom, we hope that it's going to lead to an improvement in students' learning and understanding, or at least an increase in the proportion of time within the lesson that we can spend on improving at learning and understanding. So we expect that things are going to travel in this lovely linear path. But what actually happens in the early days of establishing the routine is we may actually get a short-term dip in performance. Why? Well, because all our time is spent introducing, justifying, practicing and refining the routine. And that can feel really frustrating. Frustrating for teachers and frustrating for students. The way I like to think about this is to imagine two different teachers. One teacher here, she decides that she's going to introduce these routines and spend time on the justification, the practice and so on. This guy here, nah, forget that. Let's just crack on with the learning and try and make it up as we go along. Now, what's going to happen in the short term is the students in this guy's class are probably going to do better. They're going to be spending more time actually thinking about, in my case, mathematics or English or history or whatever it may be. In the short term in this class, a lot of time is going to be spent establishing those routines and justifying them and so on. But then what happens? Well, once those routines are automated, then the students in this class, they are going to be flying because the teacher only needs to say the word and the student, it triggers whatever that routine may be and they can just crack straight on with the learning. So being aware of the Valley of Latent Potential and sharing it with students, particularly in those early days of establishing a routine, I think is a potentially important thing to do. James Clear has some final advice on this. To achieve the end goal, we need to optimize for the start, put everything into perfecting the seemingly small stuff in the beginning. It might be frustrating, but we're going to reap the benefits pretty soon. So how might you use that tip? Is that something you'd share with other colleagues, or just with yourself, with your students? Let me know. Also, if you could like the video and subscribe to the Tips for Teachers YouTube channel, I'd be eternally grateful. If you want to get hold of that diagram, visit tipsforteachers.co.uk. Below the video page, you'll be able to download that. Thanks so much for watching.